How's it going, everyone? This is Wimbo. Today we're going to have another quick Blender tutorial about typeface. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of illustrators trying to draw text in 3D format, and it has a pretty cool effect. Then I just very into these 3D isometric type of typeface, and that drawing looks very cool, that illustration. So I'm thinking, why not just make some of these text font 3D in Blender directly? So here's the 3 common challenges when you're trying to creating isometric typeface or text in Blender. A lot of people don't know how to import a custom font and also how to set up isometric camera, because usually we don't have isometric camera in real life. So this is kind of challenging to do, or people don't know how to use it. And third one will be, once I import all these text font, how can I set up the text and the topology need to be fixed, and it looks have a beautiful shading. So in this one, we're gonna break it down one by one. So let's get started with the first one. Shift A to adding a text right here. So usually it will go with the front view, so I can just open up this window and to, let's say, towards to the viewport, align to the view. And then what I would do, I can hit tab, and I can just quickly just do 3D typeface. Okay, so just something like random. And then what I can do here, I can just go the other part on the sidebar here, click that. You see a kind of A, that click that, that's for the text font. So you can actually come here, there's a drop down menu is font. You can just changing the different style of font. So if you open up this folder, you can see it directly jump into a font folder that my computer already directly have. But interesting things in here you need to pay attention. Some font that you installed previously, probably for your Photoshop, for Illustrator, it doesn't really all go into this font. It's something weird, and I don't know exactly how this thing fixed, but it's some kind of font is missing. So what I did is I would download a font separately and put it into a folder that I will often use. So what I would do, go to my own font folders. I just have some font for this tutorials. I specifically pick up a kind of like a handwriting type of style of font, and this is a Google font. Obviously, you can download the Google font. It's not that professional per se, but you can certainly use that for a lot of your designs, and this is absolutely free. And pay attention, some of Google font doesn't really working in the side of Blender, so you really need to test it out. So just click this Google font. I need open font. Now, as you can see here, it changed the typeface. It's pretty easy, right? So you have this special typeface already loaded in, and it's pretty easy. The next thing we are going to do, we're gonna do some kind of manipulations, kind of get this font look 3D, because right now it's obviously 2D. After selecting this text and right click, and then you're gonna go to the convert to mesh. Okay, so watch what's gonna happen right now. It's a type. And then right now, if I'm do this, convert to a mesh, then it become a mesh. So now it's become a mesh. If I hit tab, go to the edit mode, as you can see here, there's millions of the vertices trying to stabilize the shapes for you. That is very common. And then we're gonna select A to select all the vertices, and go to the F3 and to search limited dissolve. So we can do that limited dissolve and just click that. Now you can see that much simplified. There's not really a lot of triangles or everything, but you still see tons of vertices right here. Oh my god, that's a lot. So what we need to do here, we are going to go to the top view and hit E and extrude along the Y axis. We're just going to drag something out, because this is actually to give the text a little bit a thickness. You see, that's what we want, because we want to have them to see there's a little bit thickness going on here. You can do some different design, different shapes, but that's your choice. But this is the basic idea after pulling it out. Okay, so next thing I want to do is we need to kind of refine this a little bit better, because you can see here these are not really perfect shading. It looks like a little bit choppy, and what we need to do here, if we're gonna do right click and to go to the shade smooth, you will see this is a pretty terrible shading if I just directly do that. So we definitely need to do some modification on that. So for this also, as you can see here, this is basically two words, right? It's 3D or typeface. So what I would do, I'm gonna separate this one single unit into two. So I'm gonna go to the tab, edit mode, Alt-Z, go to the X-ray mode. I'm gonna select this typeface and hit the P to separate. Okay, so now we can separate them as two different individual ones. So for this one, then what I will do next, I'm gonna go to the edit mode, select the three in the X-ray mode, everything selected, and then I'm gonna go to the top view and hit the number 2, having the edge selection mode turned on, and hit the B and the middle mouse button to kind of unselect all these edges between. So now I'm just only selecting the other edges over here. And what I will do next, I'm gonna hit Control B to bevel that, and I just gonna give a little bit bevel in here, so you can see this is, we have some bevel going on. You can adjusting the segment over here on this tiny window, and then we can do hit tab. Okay, so the 3 has been getting some little bit bevel, as you can see here, a little much smoother. And the next, what I will do, I'm actually going to even to separate 3 and D individually. Another thing you can separate them much quicker is go to the tab and select everything else in this 3D and hit the P key and then separate by loose parts. So 3 and D, there are two loose parts, so we're going to having them together. And apparently because the D part is not directly connect with the other stroke, so this is separating as like 3 parts. So what I can do here, I can just put them together and select these here, and we're gonna hit Control J to join them back together and rename that as D. So just kind of quickly organize, seeing what's going on here, and hit number 3 to rename that. So this 3D has been separate. I'm just going to focus on the 3 now. And now you can see here, we already have some bevel on the edge. Everything else is fine. And then what we can do here, if I do right click, shade smooth, it still have some kind of shading issues going on here. As you can see here, although you're 100% sure that this side one face is flat, but why there's shading issues? Well, that's just generally because this is the big giant n-gong. It looks a little bit different. We are not going to adding a subsurface modifier for this typeface, simply because all the typeface are specifically designed with a certain angle and the curves. We don't want to use a subsurface modifier to smooth everything out, to changing the shapes in a very minor way, but we still don't want to do anything about that. We're just going to go to the modifier tab and adding a weighted normal modifier. So after adding this, you making sure you need to enable the auto smooth in the object property. So we're going to go here, normal, auto smooth. So turn that on. So after doing this, you can immediately see this shading is getting much better. So it's actually getting a lot smoother, and that looks great. Okay, so for that, you can actually start working one by one to getting all these typeface to fix their topologies or geometries. For a couple of things I wanted to point it out is when you see these, you don't need to bevel all these vertices. Just leave them there, making sure you only bevel that outer edge of that. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that you don't need to worry about it, and especially for this part, you can think about this is all these curves are working as bevels, right? And then these other edges not. That's why it's very sharp and doesn't look very smooth and not really pleasing for the eyes. And if you really want this, like this type of look, very sharp edge, you can stay with that. You don't need to work in anything else. But I personally think we should to having a little bit minor adjustments to make it look smoother. Okay, and then so we will go to the next part. We're going to set up the camera. Now we are going to break down this file a little bit to see what's going on here. And as you can see here, this is going to be the final render view, and we have a cameras, looks like we have camera right here, and if I hit Control spacebar, we can go inside the window. You can see this camera looks super flat. It doesn't look like a regular camera because it is not a realistic regular camera. So right here, so how can we set up the camera angle like this? And basically, if we go to the different tabs, what we need to do here, I'm just gonna close everything else in this folder. We are going to adding a camera, Shift A to adding a camera, and just like what we usually regular do, adding a camera. And then we need to change the camera, and the perspective doesn't really matter at all. So we are just going to change that to the orthographic angle. This is going to be the camera, so we're going to do that. And the scale is going to be working as a zoom, but the position that we're trying to do is we need to adjusting this a little bit. So if hit N to start with, and then we are going to go to see the item transform, you will see the locations. There's no such rules like how far it's supposed to be, but in Blender a lot of things are default by 1 meter. So what we can do, we can just drag everything here, and we can just put 5 meters immediately, because we're from top view. Is this cameras go to this sections right here. So we don't really want, we probably just need to change that to -5, so we can just move back in here. The camera center is 5 meters away from x-axis and 5 meters from y-axis. If I'm go to the front view, this is the 5 meters on the z-axis. So that's the camera position. So we're going to do here, and then we are going to change the rotation. For the rotation wise, for z-axis is very easy. We can just do 45 degrees, and this is going to be set by default. You're not going to change that, and the y is going to be stay at 0. So for x, you actually just kind of tilted the camera accordingly. So it doesn't really need to have a set camera angle, but you're gonna do that accordingly, whether it's the scenes or your taste, and you can do that. I'm just going to go to tab 0 to go to the camera view, so you can see this is what this camera point at. And I would certainly come out to adding something in here, Shift A to adding a cube, or in this case you are going to adding a type. So just something that you're gonna quickly edit, and hit G and Z to kind of put in here. If I go to the camera view, I will see this is what the actual camera seat looks like, this cube right here. So I can hit G and Z, I can just position in here. Again, if I'm select this new cameras, I can just using the orthographic scale to kind of zoom in and out. You can see there's no perspective changes whatsoever. So this is kind of like the look that we wanted to do. And for the rotation, the x-axis, you can actually just kind of rotate it to see how far things go away, and then we can just changing the position of the object, moving down and up to kind of really see which angle you want to go for it. So we can just kind of feels like this is kind of using the x-axis to tilt it, so you can just finding an angle that you really want, and you can actually just working from there. Okay, this is pretty much everything that you need to know to set up isometric cameras. Okay, so you can do these, just changing these positions and scale. Let's go back to the file that we already built. By the way, if you are my Patreon, you'll be able to access this Blender file and to see all my setup, lighting, and play with it. Okay, so next thing I want to show you quickly is just the behind the scene lighting. This is the typical light I use. This is just a plane with a emission shader and also a gradient textures. And I do have a tutorial talking about the lighting materials that I use for my product rendering. You can certainly check that out, and you will see that on the right hand corner. What you can do here, you can actually just changing this certain materials. This is the default one, so you can easily just change to probably a clear version of it. So we can just try and put the emission shader up, so you can see it can quickly changing the look of this material accordingly. So that's a lot of stuff you can certainly do. So I think this is the huge advantage of working in the 3D software rather than drawing in the illustrators to getting this type of effect. If you are the artist that really doing good on the 3D drawings, you can certainly do that. I'm just saying this is another alternative options. If I'm go to the top view, you can see here all these letters I put in here is pretty easy. They are just having a 90 degrees angles to facing each other, and because the perspective we set up in here, you can just easily just select one and manipulating, go to the top view, manipulating the perspective that way. You can easily change the spacing from each letters, and then also you can certainly change the colors and the materials accordingly. So once you build the file, I'm not a professional graphic designer, but a lot of times photographers need to have pretty good understanding about the color theories and actually to doing some color choices when they're doing a certain type of design and photography scenes. So the stuff I usually use, or this website's probably too old for some of you, and this is called a color hound. It's been out there for ages, so you can easily just kind of select a color palette and you can click there here, and then when you're working with Blender, you can quickly just select this color and then just hit copied. So what you can do here, you can just go back to here, and then you can go to the base color, for example, and go to the hex and then just put a number in here. Control V to paste it, and then hit enter. Immediately it will change the color. So accordingly, so you can actually just quickly changing to use all these color palette and copy these numbers, put it in there to getting the good color combination result for your graphics design. Okay, so hopefully this is being helpful. This is everything I want to share in this short Blender tutorial. Hopefully you'll learn something useful for your workflow. If you really like this type of content, please hit like and comment below to let me know what kind of topic that you want me to cover in the future Blender tutorials. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.